Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is the spectacular stage 20 of the Vuelta España 2021. Now this was just unbelievable stage. Knuckleheads all over the place, but exciting racing. I love when there's knuckleheads out there because you know the racing is going to be fun to watch. And it was mind-blowing the whole time when I'm sitting on the couch. Now it's 120 miles long, 202 kilometers in length, 5 categorized climbs, and they're all going to come at the finish of the race. There's going to be a summit climb with 9.5 kilometers to go, and it's about 5.5%, but it has super hard pitches in there because it stair steps a couple spots, lets off, dips down a little bit, and then goes back up. So you know it's a solid climb to the finish. Now, when the stage starts, 16 riders are up the road, and they have 10 minutes and 45 seconds on the Jumbo-Visma group led behind. Now, this stage, you would think right away when you look at this, when I was sitting on the couch, I'm thinking for sure, this break is gone. I mean, we're talking 10 minutes, 45 seconds. Then it even crept up over 11, near 12 minutes. So you're just sure this break is gone because there's nobody left. I mean, who's going to chase? Jumbo-Visma's not going to chase. Movistar are only down to 5 riders, and they have second and third on general classification. So what are they going to do? Okay, Bahrain victorious. They're sitting 4th. Maybe they kind of want to move up on 3rd, but they have Mark Padun up in the front break, and we all know he's capable of winning from that group of 16 up front if it goes the distance. So they're not going to chase. Now you flip over to Ineos. Ineos could chase for sure, but how is a team that only has 5 riders left in the race, how are they going to bring back 12 minutes on the front group? And you got to remember, Tom Pidcock's not on 100% form. He hasn't looked fabulous at this Vuelta. Pavel Sivakov's looked pretty solid, but then Egan Bernal and Adam Yates, they're riding on GC. So who's going to ride back there for Ineos? When you look at the stage, when I'm sitting on the couch, I'm like, this break is gone, right? For sure. Now, what's amazing about the break is you have multiple teams with numbers in there. DSM is represented with fabulous numbers. We're talking about KOM first and second jersey wear of Bardet and Michael Storer. Storer's won 2 stages here at the Vuelta. Bardet's won 1 stage, and they have their teammate Chris Hamilton with them, who's an exceptional climber. UAE Team Emirates, they have Gibbons and Matteo Trentin. We've all seen Matteo Trentin's mug throughout this Vuelta. We know he's a player. Now, besides them, AG2R represented in the group here with 3 riders. Lilian Colmigene, Clément Champoussin, and Stan de Wolf. And we've seen Stan de Wolf throughout this race, and we've seen Clément many times fighting all the way at the finish of these summit climbs just to keep himself higher up on general classification, but suffering many times. I've seen him coming across in like 15th or 20th spot, sprinting at the top of these summit climbs to try to salvage any kind of time he can to start riding for GC and stuff. But they got 3 riders. So we're talking about 3 from DSM, 3 from AG2R, and 2 from UAE Team Emirates. But when I'm watching the race, they're really not rotating through, not as a whole just drilling it on the front because they got a 12-minute lead. They don't have to, right? Okay, well, that time starts to drop. When Ineos start riding on the first categorized climb with about 97 kilometers to go, it's Tom Pidcock back there setting a pretty hard pace, and we start seeing the time start to drop to the breakaway. Now, at the top of the KOM, it's Storer that takes the points. Now, keep in mind, that was the big drama when the show first turned on. Would Bardet and Michael Storer fight each other out for KOM? Not going to be the case because Bardet is just going to give all the points to Michael Storer when they go over the first KOM. Second KOM, same story for DSM. Michael Storer stealing maximum points up there. No fight whatsoever from Bardet. Now I'm expecting when we see that there's no fight there that Michael Storer will probably start the ride for the team with Chris Hamilton and see if they can get Bardet the victory at the end of the today's stage. That's all that needs to be done from DSM. They just got to jump on the front, put 2 riders up there and start drilling it because who can chase them from behind? Like I said, there's nobody back there to chase. But slowly but surely, there's back there Ineos and they're driving it fast. Now when we get on the 3rd categorized climb, the gap has been dropping down and they're about 5 to 6 minute gap there to the front group, and still DSM and not riding on the front. In fact, over the second categorized climb, they were having attacks go where Trentin, UAE Team Emirates, was solo, and then Gibbons, along with Bardet, bridged up to him and one other rider for company, and now they're actually attacking the break instead of those teams riding together solid to extend their time, which by this point in time, now that the gap has just been dropping down dramatically, those teams should have got on the front, sacrificed each one of their riders that they didn't think could climb at the end of today's summit finish, and then just drill it all the way in the climb and leave Michael Storer or Romain Bardet, better yet, sitting back there. These are three stage wins these two riders had. If you can get them to the last climb with a 2-minute, 3-minute gap, they can win this stage no problem, right? Nope. Everybody's attacking and going up the road, and it's just fantastic racing from the couch. It's got to be miserable for some of the riders in the break trying to figure out the mathematical problems here. Behind on the third categorized climb of today's stage, after Pavel Sivakov, he drills it till about 60 kilometers to go, and then Adam Yates lights it up. The GC battle has started back there. Now the breakaway's only 5 minutes up the road. Adam Yates drills it, splits it. Comes back together again. There's a few more other attacks. Finally, Adam Yates drills it one more time and splits it down to a select group. Now, back in the group behind, we saw Sepp Kuss get dropped. Steven Kruijswijk did a good job of staying at the front for a bit, but now he can't cover the final attack by Adam Yates. It's Enric Mas, two Bahrain victorious. It's Gino Mader and Jack Haig who are in the front group with Adam Yates. Now this is getting crazy right here because Enric Mas is there, Primož Roglic made it, but that is it. That is the elite group of the GC favorites. Back behind, it's Movistar Lopez who missed the split, and he's drilling it on the front. Egan Bernal Ineos, he missed the split too. Looks like he doesn't have fantastic form. Lopez is left back there chasing, furiously trying to get up to the lead GC group favorites, but all of a sudden Bahrain Victorious got this magical gift, and it is wrapped up beautifully. Gino Mader is on fabulous form, and he is throwing down on the front with Jack Haig sitting on. It's a one-on-one chase. It's Lopez against Gino Mader, and Lopez is losing the battle back there. Now, this is when things get a little bit crazy and the more knuckleheads start jumping into the Butterfly Effect show. And that's my job here on the Butterfly Effect, is to show you guys what is going right and what is going wrong. This is going deep into the tactics, but this is a problem here for Jumbo-Visma because Primož Roglic up ahead in the front GC-led group is isolated with no teammates. And behind, it's just Lopez from Movistar chasing, losing time and buckets. They'll go over the top, and already Lopez is 45 seconds down. Now, the big problem. Remember, Marc Padon, Bahrain Victorious, was up the road in the original group of 16, and he was riding fabulous. They will pull him out, and as they're catching remnants of the original break of 16, along with Marc Padon, there's Nick Schultz Bike Exchange. And remember, Nick Schultz Bike Exchange, he's Aussie, right? Okay, so is Bahrain Victorious, fourth on general classification. Jack Haig, who has a chance of moving up to third to take a podium at this year's Vuelta a España. This is the only thing that makes sense. I could be wrong. Don't call me crazy. All of a sudden, Schultz is on the front and he's driving it hard. And I don't see any reason why Bike Exchange would be on the front right at this point in time driving it, unless one's an Australian rider and the other one's an Australian rider. So there's some country love going on here at the last mountain stage of the Vuelta a España. Now, when they go up the next climb, things are interesting because Marc Padon is there and he's driving on the front with Bahrain Victorious, Gino Mader, and Jack Haig sitting on getting a free ride. Now, here's the butterfly effect. And remember, just because the stage plays out a certain way, if a rider wins or if the rider loses, doesn't mean the tactics were right. Okay, behind, Movistar is chasing now. They have JJ Rojas on the front, but he's losing time. He's already been dropped. He came back to Lopez's wheel. Now he's on the front driving for Lopez. But they're 3 and 4 minutes back of the GC favorites. And Jumbo-Visma is not pulling back there to help close the gap up to Primož Roglic. Now you guys are like, Chris, you're crazy, man. Primož Roglic is the man. He has fabulous legs. That gap to the second group of GC favorites, Lopez, if Primož Roglic flats out of that front group, okay, we all know he can flat, right? You can't argue that with me. If he flats at this moment in time on this stage, he will lose the Vuelta a España. I guarantee it. He will come out of that break. He has no teammates anywhere near him. And if he flats, do you think he's going to be able to get back onto that front group that has Bike Exchange Schultz up there pulling, Mark Perdome pulling, Gino Mater pulling? You don't think Jack Haig would start pulling as soon as Primož Roglic flats? Moss wouldn't start pulling. Adam Yates wouldn't start pulling. That whole group would be pulling crazy, and Primož Roglic would be losing this Vuelta. When I'm sitting on the couch, that's what I'm thinking. What is Jumbo-Visma doing? They could lose this Tour of Spain because of one flat tire on stage 20 with like 40 kilometers to go in the race. It's absolutely insane. Now we get all the way into the last climb, and just before that, we'll see DSM Romain Bardet swinging from the right side of the road to the left side of the road, trying to get away so he can get up to Ryan Gibbons, the UAE Team Emirates rider, who was put on a spectacular solo ride from about 45 kilometers to go all the way until the last climb, starting with a gap. But when Romain Bardet is attacking right now, that gap to Ryan Gibbons is only about a minute, so somebody needs to go up the road. Romain Bardet gets frustrated. It looks like he just sits up and comes out of the break. Romain Bardet, you need to be frustrated. You absolutely have every right to be frustrated, and you should be frustrated at your teammates and especially at your director back there for not just putting the team on the front and drilling it. Now behind the GC guys are only a minute behind you guys, and you know you're going to get caught going up the last climb because DSM never put their team on the front ever at any point in time as a solid unit, along with the AG2R riders and UAE Team Emirates riders up there. So Bardet is frustrated. He is watching the last chance at this year's 2021 Vuelta going out the window because of team tactics on their part. Now, Ryan Gibbons is up the road. The GC guys just caught the last remnants of the breakaway. Now, behind, Bahrain Victorious is setting a hard tempo up the climb. Again, I'm thinking on the couch when I'm sitting there, hey, Bahrain Victorious, I don't know if you need to set that hard of a tempo. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe Enric Mas and Primož Roglic will blow and Jack Haig can win this Vuelta, but that's a tall order. I'm more worried about Jack Haig getting dropped from Yates, who looked fabulous so far when he was attacking up the third categorized climb of this stage and just blew this race apart. If Adam Yates starts attacking after Bahrain Victorious sets a vicious tempo, can Jack Haig follow Adam Yates? Now, with about 6 kilometers to go, now the story starts taking shape because Adam Yates is thrown in attack and he is blowing up the field back there. Primož Roglic, Enric Mas can latch on and follow him. Jack Haig is drifting off the back, and I'm starting to wonder if we're going to see his podium spot that Bahrain Victorious have ridden this whole stage spectacularly so far up till the bottom of this 9.5 kilometers class climb, that is. Now Haig is swinging off the back. Remember, he's not going to have help like we saw in the other mountain summit finishes because Gino Mater's already had to ride the front for a lot of this finishing stage. And remember, Mark Perdone's been on the front, so Jack Haig's finally going to have to do the whole climb all on his own without any teammates around him to salvage when those splits happen. And Adam Yates is drilling it. Jack Haig is swinging off the back. He'll finally crawl an inch and just fight his way to get back up to the lead group of 3. He will. The time gap up to Gibbons now is started to drop dramatically. He's under 30 seconds. Primož Roglic will throw in a massive attack and have Gibbons right in his crosshairs until the 4 favorites sit up and no one wants to do any work, and Gibbons gains another 30 seconds on the 4 GC favorites back there. With every slow and speed back there from the GC favorites, it's what's left over the break that's trying to catch back onto those guys. Now I'm talking about Clement Champoussin back there, the AG2R rider. He is struggling and fighting like a mother to get himself back up along with Chris Hamilton. They'll almost back on when there'll be another acceleration out of the 4 GC favorites up front, and the gap will extend back to those guys again. A second time, they'll come back up to the 4 GC favorites as they're catching Ryan Gibbons up there with Primož Roglic throwing in accelerations and attack and Adam Yates throwing in his own attacks. 3.5 kilometers to go. Gibbons will get reeled back in and he'll even throw in one more attack. Once they slow down for the last time, it's Clement back there, the AG2R rider, that will throw in a massive attack with 1.7 kilometers to go. The group of 4 favorites, GC there, they'll hesitate. Clement will get a gap, and he's going all the way to the line, suffering like crazy as he's trying to win this stage 20 for his AG2R team. Now, as they come into the finish, it's a nail-biter back there because Primož Roglic will throw in one last acceleration, but he can't catch the AG2R rider Clement as he takes his first professional victory at a Grand Tour Stage 20. Spectacular day of racing here at the Vuelta. Congratulations, Clement. It was absolutely amazing to watch that win. Primož Roglic will drop the other favorites back there, but Adam Yates third on the stage. Enric Mas will come through for fourth, and just behind Jack Haig trailing off the back. He must have been dropped 5, 6, 10 times throughout this last climb and always managed to get back on, does damage control, and only loses a few seconds to Adam Yates to move himself up to third on the general classification. Now back with Movistar, Lopez back there, who lost time all over the place, won't even finish today's stage, and so he'll drop out of the Vuelta. It was a fabulous day of racing. Lopez just put under the knife from all of the tactics out there racing, especially the Bahrain victorious duel up there of Marc Padon and Gino Mader. Just rode fabulous on today's race to move Jack Haig up to a podium spot at this year's Vuelta a España. Now, there's still time trial on tomorrow's stage. Anything can happen. So make sure you tune in for tomorrow's last stage of the Vuelta a España, and I'll see you for more videos after that of the butterfly effect and how-to cycling videos to come soon. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you real soon.